How many of you wear your brother's or sister clothes? This might be a stupid question, this is a simple question, and this is a general question. So if you don't have older siblings, it doesn't refer to you. However, I think, and I assume that majority of you doesn't have this habit of wearing clothes after older sisters or brothers. And why is it so? Let's imagine that you want to change your t-shirt every 3 or 4 years. And it requires energy, and the topic of my presentation is smart energy. You might ask me, why is the topic of your presentation smart energy if you are asking me about second-hand clothes? And I will show you that there is very, very direct and visible and tight connection between wearing t-shirts after older brothers and our global energetic use. So let's assume, as I stated before, that you want to have a new t-shirt every 3 or 4 years. Do you know what it means? First, you have to collect the fabrics, you have to collect the materials and make the t-shirt somewhere. Then you have to ship it, so you have to pack it, you have to just displace it from one place, from the country of origin, to the country of destination. Let's assume that it would be China and Poland or Europe in general here. Then you can enjoy it. The thing is that this model is very simple and everyone can understand it, but very few people realize that this is kind of a vicious circle, and behind every single step of this model, vast amounts of energy are wasted and used. Maybe using the word wasted is not good here, because the thing is that we will use it for particular reasons. So for example, we want to make a t-shirt, but I want you to ask a question whether you really need that t-shirt, and will you really use it, and is it worth using that energy? So what is energy? I wouldn't give you any specific definition, any scientific definition, but I will just tell you that you require energy for doing roughly everything. For talking, thinking, for standing, for riding a bike, and you get this energy from food. But if you want to ride a bike or ride a car, in case of riding a car, you have to somehow provide a fuel for it, so you will use the fossil fuel energy. You have to bear in mind that those products, this bicycle or car, has to be produced somewhere and transported from one place to another. And if you know that it is manufactured, you have to also produce the factory which will produce this particular product. And if we want to go deeper and deeper, you will see that this is kind of a vicious circle, that if we want to have one simple t-shirt, we have to use energy at so many steps that very huge amount of it is in fact wasted. Therefore, I will now tell you what energy on Earth is and why is it so important and where do we get it from. So first, we get it from 3 main and most popular celestial bodies. And first, as you can probably recognize, is the Sun. The second is the Earth, and the third is the Moon, which might be surprising for majority of you. Okay, so the Sun accounts for roughly 99.97% of the whole energy that we have on Earth, and from geothermal energy we gain some small fractions from the Earth itself and from the Moon as well through the tidal energy. But the thing is that the energy that we use now doesn't come from the Sun directly. It comes from the energy that was accumulated in the past and is used now. And what will happen suddenly if we will be forced to use the energy only from the Sun? You probably know what I want to introduce, and this is a very simple chart of how fossil fuels, which are the main source of energy nowadays, are produced. Therefore, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 billion years ago, we had a plant cover somewhere on the Earth. It was accumulating the energy from the Sun in its biomass due to chemical bondings. Then it died, and then it went underground, it was buried underground, and then it created, due to pressure and chemical transformation, the fossil fuels that we are using now. The thing is that there is the limited amount of energy that is buried in these fossil fuels, and we are using it very freely, and I will just state that it is irresponsible. Therefore, some simple statistics. From 1990 to 2008, you have to remember only the fact that the world's energy consumption has increased by 40%, while the population has increased by 1/3. Therefore, there was even the increase in production in capita, even though there were very many people born in very poor countries. However, the other very important statistic is that the domestic use, the energy that you normally use, is only 40% of the energy that we use, while 60% of this energy comes from is used or wasted for industry and transport. Therefore, in my opinion, it is just stupid to organize more and more actions. For example, to turn your light off for an hour to save the energy that you have at home, than to try to limit the expansion of industry and transport. And apparently, there are very few people who realize that. Okay, so now I just want to tell you that I wouldn't explain you how the energy is produced and how can we alter the energy production so that it would be more sustainable. I wouldn't predict the future because I'm not a fortune teller and I just cannot predict the future. You will be able to do it yourself. However, I just want to say you why we are doing something wrong and why it is to some extent irresponsible, and I will show you some important factors that can influence our lives at the moment, not in a distant future. So let's come to the very first and basic concept that is important, and this is the consumer mind. This is one's head, and in your head you want to have something. And I will explain it from individual perspective and from general perspective of the company, of the CEO. So let's introduce some goods that we want to have. We want to have a new cell phone, we want to have a new smartphone, we want to have a new dress instead of a new t-shirt, or of the old t-shirt we want to have a new house, we want to have a new TV and a new car. The thing is that I do understand that we all deserve to have all of this because we study, we do our best to earn money in order to develop ourselves, and these are the goods that we all deserve for. The thing is that we have to ask ourselves whether we really need it. One simple thing. You know that cars are able for driving, for example, 200 kilometers per hour, and it is your dream to have a car that is allowed to drive, that can drive 200 kilometers per hour. The thing is that for majority of Europe, the speed limit that is general is 130 kilometers per hour. Therefore, there is some kind of contradiction that governmentally we want to limit the speed that we drive on the daily basis, while in this particular case of producing the cars, we allow for producing the cars that can drive faster. And the thing is that those faster cars have bigger engines that are more power consuming, and they are just, and in fact, let's assume that we cannot use it. We cannot use it because the speed limit is 130, but we bought the one that can drive 200s because we want to be better than our friends, and we want to have, we want to be perceived as nice in our society. And for me, there is no point in doing something like that. Now, from the CEO perspective and from the point of view of someone that has a company, of course, if I run a company that will be producing cars, I will say something like that. I want you to buy as many cars as you only can. I will produce every new model every 2 or 3 years. I will make it as hard as possible to replace parts that need being repaired because it is beneficial for me. The same with this fashion industry that was mentioned at the very beginning. I will change the trends, and I will show you that the trends are differing and variable in order to convince you that there is a point in buying something, because we all have the consumer mind, and we are creating the demand, and the industry and the economy is the one that is responsible for the supply, for the demand that is created. Here, very nice example of changing standards and having something that someone else cannot have, and it shouldn't be unified because it creates more money. Well, I'm sorry. Do you all recognize this? It may be from distance, but I think that you will be all able to just know that this is simple white wire that you use for your Apple devices. The thing is that this flat USB plug that it has at the very end has no technological benefit over other USB plugs. So in fact, we could use all those USB plugs that were released after 2000 something, 2005, 6 or 7, and the rules would be still working in this standard. But Apple has designed something that is that has trademark on and which can be used only for its products, therefore increasing the artificial demand in our heads and in this industry. And you might say, I am too small to change anything. I am just a person, and we wouldn't be able to influence the industry at any point. So here is the description. This is me, and this is the company. And the description could be the same if we wanted to compare one company to the whole industry. And the thing is that we have to ask ourselves, how does it all link, and why is it, and is it linked at all? The thing is that it all links in energy. And this is why the topic of my presentation is smart energy. We can distribute the production of goods throughout the whole world. We can import goods from China, from India, from other countries, from Asian tigers, and consume them somewhere else, because we have enough energy at the moment to just transport them from that place to another. But one day it might turn out that this would be a problem, because and when we have this common trend now of outsourcing, so distributing some particular tasks or duties across other, among other companies, or even offshoring, so distributing the production in your company to some other countries or some other continents, you will soon realize that this whole system is based on one factor, on cheap energy. And one day, when there is no supply for energy, so we will run out of it, this whole system will collapse, leading to enormous economic slowdown, leading to enormous conflict, and leading to enormous problems in our lives. And this is why we should care. We should care also due to the fact that we are the future. I could say I am the future, you are the future, we are the future generation. So now we are kind of the demand that we will be in the future, and we will be this supply. So because you will be the economists, you will be the inventors, you will be the investors, you will be the CEOs of the companies claiming that it is better to produce everything because it makes money. But what is the point in it? What is the point in making money if we are living the unsustainable lives? There is a very basic assumption here that we are all humans and we are smarter than reindeer, that we just want to be as full as possible and leave nothing for someone else. But there is one clash in the world which really bothers me. We've created very many international institutions, and we all claim that we want to help the developing world to develop. And now imagine what would happen if 1 liter of gasoline would be so costly that a person, for example, in Namibia, wouldn't be able to buy it, and it would be due to our irresponsible use. What is the point in creating such organizations such as United Nations that wants to develop the whole world somehow equally, that wants to allow every person in the world to have this iPod one day, to have this iPad one day, to have a car, to have a TV, to have a normal life? If we are just taking this chance away from them now, it will happen in the future, but we cannot imagine the rapid transition. We cannot imagine the rapid transition. The change that needs to be introduced has to be very slow, and it has to be taken step by step. That's why I'm addressing you, because we have to start now. Can you imagine, for example, swapping all the internal combustion cars, the normal cars that are running on gasoline or diesel or whatever, to hybrid cars or electric cars? It might be somewhat surprising, but it is not impossible, not only due to the fact that we will have to produce all those cars. The thing is that you will soon realize that that cars are not only the part of this industry. You will have to have new skilled mechanics. You will have to alter your knowledge about mechanics, because when you will open your car, you will see completely other parts. You will have to change the tools that are needed. You will have to change all the gas fueling stations on the earth from the gas stations to rather charging stations. So the rapid transition is not available to us, and we have to introduce the changes as slowly and as gradually as it is possible. I would like to sum up my talk with a very simple metaphor. I hope that everyone would understand it, that somehow refers to the whole model that I've shown you. So once there was an island, St. Matthew's Island, which is located close to the shore of Alaska. And first 29 reindeers, you probably recognize those animals with horns and everything. They are not very intelligent, but these were 29 reindeers. At the end of World War II, 29 were introduced. After 20 years, due to the fact that they have abundance of food and they could eat everything, and there were no predators that would somehow hinder their development and stop them from developing, their number in 20 years, from 29, increased to 6,000. 6,000. And in 2 years, they ran out of food, and there were 29 again. So the question that I want to leave you with is, how big is our island? Thank you very much.